Why, yes, you can. I'm here to report a terrible crime.
It was good to see you back on the big screen, Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey proved that you don't need the Joker to be awesome. We love seeing you team up with Black Canary, the Huntress, and Renee Montoya. There was just so much girl power. You and the girls bring a whole new meaning to chick flick. The action was awesome, and so was the story. We really hope you get a sequel of the four of you taking down bad guys. Birds of Prey has hit the big screen and fans are loving it. The latest installment of the DC Extended Universe has a ton of Easter eggs. Keep watching to find out what symbol you need to keep an eye out on in future DC movies. This video contains spoilers. You've been warned.
Yeah. Are we ready?
Harley Quinn might not be dating the Joker anymore, but his influence is everywhere. One of the scenes that shows this is toward the end of the movie. Harley and the birds fight the gangs inside the top of a funhouse. All of the windows in the funhouse have Joker-style graffiti. Harley looks for weapons, implying she had a stash here. This funhouse was obviously one of Joker and Harley's safe houses, but it's been discovered. Of course, those two would have a safe house inside a funhouse. We can't think of any setting that makes more sense for these two clown-inspired anti-heroes. It's not clear who raided the funhouse, though.
Do you know what that means? That means he's not just after the kid anymore. He's after all of us.
The next Easter egg is actually a double. Harley mentions Robinson Park in the new movie. DC fans will know that it isn't a new location. Robinson Park is a famous landmark in Gotham City, and it appears often in the comics. It's been mentioned in lots of other DC films as well. Most recently, Robinson Park was talked about in The Joker. It's basically a staple of anything involving Gotham City. But did you know that Robinson Park is named for a Batman artist? Jerry Robinson was one of the classic artists who worked on the comics. Every time the park is mentioned, it's a nod to one of the original creators.
I know the East End better than anybody.
Cassandra Cain is the young girl that Harley and her birds of prey protect in the movie. She has found a diamond belonging to the Black Mask. Cassandra is pretty good at fighting already, but it's not clear how much of her comic backstory is part of the DCEU. At least some things add up, though. She does mention that she is a foster child. In the comics, her parents are the villains Lady Shiva and David Cain. Are these her biological parents or her foster parents in the movies? We hope we find out more about them in future films.
They're all here for me, aren't they?
Another clue about Cassandra's backstory is that she can't speak when we first meet her. Initially, she can't respond to Montoya's question. Fans of the comics will recognize this as a part of her origin story. Her parents, Lady Shiva and David Cain, raised her to be an assassin in the comic books. Her father's training methods were beyond brutal. He taught her to prioritize being an assassin over speaking. In Cassandra's first few appearances in the comics, she can't speak at all. We love this subtle nod to her origin story. Also in the comics, Cassandra becomes Batgirl for a while. We would love to see this happen in future DCEU movies. Ella J. Basco would be such an awesome Batgirl.
Oh, you're that psycho chick.
I never call a woman a chick. I'll accept broad lady woman.
Okay, you might think this next entry is about Bruce Wayne, but it's not. If you think you missed an appearance by Bruce Wayne, don't worry. You didn't. Harley wears a necklace that says Bruce. That might seem odd since we know her one true love was the Joker, but her necklace is the name of her pet hyena. Now, Harley did name her hyena after Bruce Wayne, but in this film, she doesn't know that Bruce is Batman yet. Why does she have a hyena? Well, in Batman the Animated Series, which is where we first meet Harley Quinn, she has two hyenas. Their names are Bud and Lou.
I named him Bruce after that hunky Wayne guy.
We can all agree that the fight scene in the evidence room is beyond epic. Seriously, that was such a perfect action scene. But did you notice the Suicide Squad Easter egg in the background? It was very quick, but we caught a glimpse of Katana's sword. That doesn't seem like something that should just be lying around. After all, in Suicide Squad, we learned that the sword will trap its victims' souls. We love this little nod back to one of our favorite characters from the 2016 film. We hope the birds get a chance to team up with Katana in the future.
We're gonna have to work together.
Is there anything Harley Quinn can't do? In the movie, we get to see Harley Quinn as a skating frenzy in the roller derby ring. It's the perfect sport for Harley. It's typically a woman-dominated sport, and it gets pretty violent. But if that scene seems random to you, we're here to tell you it's an Easter egg. Love it or hate it, the new 52 comics changed a lot about the DC universe. These comics are really dark, and a lot of them focus on Harley. But in this series, Harley is the queen of roller derby. It's pretty great that the Birds of Prey creators give nods to all sorts of DC media.
Don't kill me.
All right.
No, seriously. Romy.
Birds of Prey is really an anti-hero movie, just like Suicide Squad. Harley was a villain in the past. She's doing the right thing by protecting Cassandra from the Black Mask. But you have to admit that their methods are questionable. Renee Montoya is one of the best new characters in the DCEU. She's played by Rosie Perez, and she's a Gotham City police detective. At the end of the movie, she retires to fight crime on her terms with the birds, but she doesn't have an alias. In the comics, Renee Montoya becomes the Question. We are seriously hoping that in future DCEU movies, Renee will wear that mask and become that hero.
And you're dumb enough to be building a case against him.
You have to really know your DC history to have caught this next Easter egg. As Harley prepped for the last battle of the movie, there is a clip from the soap opera Days of Our Lives playing on Renee's TV. The clip shows Arlene Sorkin dressed in a Harley Quinn costume. This scene inspired the creation of Harley Quinn. In fact, Harley's real first name is Harleen, which sounds almost like Arlene. Plus, the creators of Batman, the animated series, got Arlene Sorkin to voice the deranged character. This scene showed the earliest origins of the character while she is evolved into somewhat of a hero. It was such a treat for devoted Harley fans. Are you loving these Easter eggs? Keep watching to find out which symbol keeps popping up in DCEU movies.
I can help you find it.
Seriously.
Sometimes when there are sequels in a big franchise, continuity is difficult. And the DCEU franchise is connected through very loose plot lines, which is very different from the MCU strategy. But Birds of Prey is really great at the continuity with its previous film, Suicide Squad. Harley references and jokes about events from that movie. She is also wearing the infamous Daddy's Little Monster shirt and says it has sentimental value. She also cuts off her squad hairstyle. The directors and creative teams worked really hard at making sure these two movies had continuity.
Because without the Joker around, I can't.
Journey Smollett-Bell plays Dinah Lance, who goes by the alias Black Canary. She is such a cool character, and we really hope she's in future DCEU movies. When Dinah and Renee first met, Renee references Dinah's mom. Apparently, she was the first Black Canary before she passed the mantle to Dinah. But in the comics, Dinah is the first Black Canary. She passes on the role to her daughter, Laurel. Obviously, in Birds of Prey, Dinah isn't old enough to have a daughter who can take on the title. Was the movie just trying to reference what happened in the comics, or are they suggesting that there will be several generations of Black Canary?
Who we are beyond that.
Comic book characters undergo many artistic changes over time. When they get made into live-action characters, they often get a fresh new take. Of course, fans often want the characters to look just like their comic counterparts. In the comics, Black Canary's costume features fishnet stockings, but that's not very practical in live-action movies. The costume department did decide to give a nod to this classic look. At the very end of the movie, Black Canary's costume has changed quite a bit. She has fishnets, but they are on her sleeves instead of her legs. It looks super cool, while also staying true to the character's vibe.
She's got rages.
I don't have rages!
If you thought parts of Birds of Prey felt familiar, you're not alone. The new movie had several flashbacks to Harley's time in the Suicide Squad. She references things that happened in the earlier movie, but the filmmakers didn't film these flashbacks as new footage. There is actually quite a bit of footage from Suicide Squad in the new film. This helps with continuity. We know they worked hard to make sure the two movies made sense together. We hope that when the next Suicide Squad movie comes out, they use flashback footage from Birds of Prey.
What?
You are so cool.
In the last part of the movie, Harley crashes a truck into a building. But this isn't just any building. It's ACE Chemicals, and the symbolism runs deep. In DC canon, this is where the Joker becomes the Joker. And in Suicide Squad, this is also where Harleen Quinzel becomes Harley Quinn. It's an important part of Harley's origin story. When she crashes the truck, she is regaining control over her story. It's crucial for her to move on from that part of her life. We hope she realizes in the future that she is so much better without the Joker.
Ah, shit. I told this all wrong. Quick history lesson.
There is one Easter egg that keeps popping up in DCEU films. Janus Corporation is mentioned several times in the movie. It's even in the background on a billboard. Janus was a two-faced god in ancient Rome. The Black Mask is part of the Sionis family, and they're responsible for the Janus Corporation. Roman, or the Black Mask, made his fortune selling cosmetics that scarred whoever used them. The mask symbolism runs deep, but Janus references go all the way back to the Justice League film. It might be nothing more than a little continuity reference, or it might be a sign of things to come in future DCEU films. Which DC Easter eggs did you pick up on in Birds of Prey? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Things. See you next time.